Howdy everyone, Cpt.AirWolf here. Wanted to make another video to give you guys an update on where Project Airwolf was. I will warn you in advance, I do have the beta update installed, and ever since I've done that, I have these psychedelic colors from time to time, so don't let the background distract you from the main star attraction. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about what's been done since the last video was made. So as promised, I wanted to work on the interior of the chopper because basically it was bare bones before and there wasn't really any systems working per se, like inside the actual heli. So yeah, true to my word, that's what I've been doing. A lot of those systems are up and running now. Some of the items you'll see in there are placeholders, and there's still a lot of stuff to add in as well. But let's jump in and take a look at what we got. So here it is. I've decided to model, and this was after some considerable discussion with community members, but basically I had two choices. I could either try and create Airwolf the way it existed in Season 2 and beyond, or I could go for a safer route and just model a Bell 222. And that way, you know, like your purists out there that want to just focus on simming can do so. So you'll probably notice there's some missing equipment still, like I don't have the comm equipment on this top panel. A lot of the warning lights are not in place. What I've been trying to do just to sort of maintain my sanity is just focus on putting individual elements, making sure they work, and then sort of expanding from there. So yeah, let's turn it on so you guys can see. I haven't done a lot of the outer panels that you can see here. That's why like the door handles and stuff are not added yet. Uh, Same with like this little area here. I believe there's like an ashtray typically on that side. Not that it would be used today, but so that'll be added, of course, before the final one. And I do have the rear computer, but that's going to be undergoing a significant remodeling. So I'm not going to show that just yet. Alright, so the lights do work, and I'm going to show you guys one thing right now. So what I've done is I wanted to find a way to map the weapons, and so I decided to map them to the flaps lever. I've still got to rename the tooltips and stuff, but let me see if I can lower that sound of the engine. I still need to adjust that. I'm going to try and cut that down. Alright, that's a little bit better. So yeah, let's take a look at that right now. So I'm just using an Xbox controller right now because it's easier to test with. But on my Xbox controller, the D-pad controls my flaps. And so right now I have it on fully retracted. But if I set it to flaps lever number 1, you'll see that after a short period of time, it'll light up. And actually, let's look at that from the outside so you guys can see what's happening. So I'm going to set it back to flaps level number 1, and you will see that my weapons deploy. So that's right, the lady's finally got her teeth. And if I put it on flaps level number 2, the ADF pod underneath deploys. And of course, I've changed the flight dynamics so that the flaps don't actually work like flaps would normally do. So your flight dynamics will change ever so slightly, but not enough to affect your enjoyment, so that you can basically fly with your weapons out at your heart's content. So here's what she looks like from the front. Quite mean if I do say so myself. And if I set them all the way up again, you'll see that the weapons will hide. So let's go back inside. Another thing I've added, And right now this is only for testing purposes. The final release will have like its own custom version of this, but I figured out how the Pelican was using the glass display, and I decided to add it to AirWolf as well. And so you can actually set this up. Here, I'll put it on the camera right now. The reason it's unavailable is I'm actually on the ground, so if we take off, we should be able to see the camera in action. And there we go. Once we're high enough, the camera activates. And if you look around, you'll see that most of the instruments are in fact working. The ones that aren't are just placeholder instruments, which will be replaced with the actual instruments that would exist in AirWolf. So back outside. I'm going to zoom out with my mouse here so we can... Oh yes, there are the beautiful psychedelic colors I was talking about. I'm hoping that that's just an issue with the update and not my video card failing on me, but it seems to only happen in the game itself, so I'm suspecting it's an issue with the beta update. Overall, though, I've been quite pleased with the performance improvements of the update. A few tweaks have been added as well to the flight dynamics, just to make it a little bit easier and more enjoyable to fly. So we'll actually go for a landing here so you guys can see. The landing gear lights also work, so I'll deploy that right now. My apologies if I end up cratering this thing. I don't usually fly with my Xbox controller. It's a little bit tricky. Just set her down nice and gently. There we go. And if we go back inside, you can see that we're on the ground. Now, a good example of how all of these systems work. So if you look at the gear here, if I were to actually try to raise my gear, I wouldn't be able to, essentially, as they're locked on the ground. So I'll actually be putting a warning light for that as well, so that people can actually see that it's inoperative if you're on the ground. So yeah, just a quick look at all the rest of the instruments. So here are the controls, and for you AirWolf fans out there, you probably know what that little button on the left of the cyclic does. So I look forward to showing that in a future video. I'm going to leave it out of this one because there's still some work to be done there. But here are the pedals. They got those pistons in the back, just like the real thing. And of course, the cyclic. The throttles on the cyclic are not fully modeled yet, so I'm going to leave that for a future video. And you can see that center console there. So at the moment, that's still a placeholder center console, and that's going to be replaced with the actual model once I've completed it. So yeah, let's actually go to showcase mode so I can show you guys a little bit of the views. Alright, so we're in showcase mode now, and I'm just going to so I've actually modeled a lot of the hanging wires and stuff, like in the footwell area, as you can see. And there's still lots of detail that I have to put in there. And keep in mind, like, this doesn't even have textures yet. Most of these are just bare colors. So once I put in some bump mapping and stuff like to the aircraft paint, it's going to look a lot better than it does right now. But I'm pretty happy with where it is, and it helps me debug things by having everything shiny like this. There's what the interior looks like from an outside perspective. So yeah, as you can see, tons of work has been added since we last spoke, and yeah, I continue to add on to it. The goal, as always, is to make sure that basically that Airwolf is where I'm expecting it to be before I release it, because I will obviously update the product after its initial release, but I want to make sure that that initial release is worth people's money. So yeah. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for all of your support, guys, and please sub to the channel and give it a like if you like what you see, and I'll be seeing you guys in future videos. See ya.